you are going to love this conversation with Bethany LaFlam and totally understand why she is a girl after my own heart. Bethany is a top securities attorney and co-owner of the Premier Law Group, where she helps entrepreneurs and investors raise capital the right way. So incredibly important and doesn't always happen. Known for simplifying SEC compliance, Bethany makes legal strategy approachable, actionable, and growth focused. She is also the author of OPE. Make sure you check that out. Let's take it away with Bethany. Hello and welcome to the Power Up Your Life podcast, powered by GoBundance Women. I'm Mandy McAllister.
And I'm Kelly Resendez.
Okay, guys, so excited today. We have with us my girl, Bethany LaFlam. Hey, Beth, how are you?
I'm so good. How are you?
I'm just fully caffeinated, living my best life.
Well, let's go.
Well, why don't we just kind of start from the beginning, just for our listeners who have not had a chance to meet you yet. Tell us a little about you.
So my day job is I'm a securities lawyer, and all that means is I help real estate investors raise capital, leveraging other people's money, OPM, safely under the securities guidelines, which sounds like a lot. But that is what funds my passions, which is investing in boutique hotels and luxury resorts. So that fuels that. And then we have a community called the Conscious Capital Collective, which is really built to support the people who are building their wealth. And it's all about attainable wealth and attainable luxury.
I think it's so like the focus on wealth building, and sometimes you got to do a thing to fuel another thing. I think that's so important. And one of my favorite jokes that you tell about this attorney thing is that you help people practice safe SEC. I just find that so hilarious.
Yeah,
you know?
I love it. So, practice safe sec.
Yeah, hilarious. So, well, tell me a little bit about, like, you are the person who helps people raise capital in the correct way so that they can fuel their businesses. You know, maybe for the world that we're living in now, tell me just a couple mistakes that people make when they're raising capital, high level.
I think the biggest mistake people make when raising capital is they underestimate how hard it is at first in some ways, and they go out to start paying people to raise for them, right? And you can't do that. You can't pay people just to raise capital for you. And I get it. I've been in this game. I'm raising capital right now, and what I wouldn't give, right, to just pay someone to do it for me. But you can't do that. People who you have to have a license actually to get paid to raise capital. It's a broker-dealer license. It's FINRA. It's highly regulated. The only reason that we in our world are allowed to raise capital from passive investors is to operate our own business, which means if someone's raising capital with you, it's got to be their own business too. So they have to have a meaningful role in your business. So that's the biggest mistake is people are like, I'll just give you 10% if you go raise $500,000 for me. That's
a lot of that
almost never okay. It can be okay, but almost nobody does it the right way for it to be okay. So that's the biggest mistake, I think. And then
I completely agree.
Yeah, it's scary. And I get it. I do. I get it. It's, you got to raise the money in order to buy these properties. I understand that. But in some ways, I think people, they overestimate how hard it's going to be, right? Because if you have a really good deal, you're offering an opportunity to people to make money that they wouldn't otherwise be able to make while they sleep. They can use their high earning W-2 to make money for them. And that is the only way to actually grow wealth. You're never going to really, really be wealthy just from a W-2. I don't care how much you make. Because the minute you stop working, it stops coming. And so you've got to be able to invest. And if you learn that and you teach people how to do that, which I think you guys are doing here, I think you're providing an opportunity for someone, not begging for money.
Yeah.
And so I think it's just a mindset shift.
Love it.
Exactly true.
Bethany, do you do capital raising support for businesses and for real estate, or are you just focused on real estate?
Primarily real estate, although we are expanding a little bit out. And to be clear, I just help people stay compliant while they're raising the money. I'm not raising for them. Yeah. I raise money for my own deals, but I don't raise money for
it. Deals. I love it.
But we are expanding into operating businesses in our community because I think that in addition to real estate is a really good way to create long-term wealth. I think businesses are better for cash flow.
Yeah. No,
So
I love it. I'm big in both.
yeah,
Like for myself personally, my portfolio's got over 20 businesses in it, and then, similar on the real estate side. So I think it's really important that people educate themselves. So, let's talk about the ugly truth. The last few years have been really brutal for a lot of us that have invested in deals that somebody else was raising capital on. Now, I can tell you that my good friend Mandy has kicked butt for me on stuff that I've done with her, but like I'm the person that wants to trust someone else to invest my money wisely when it comes to real estate. I'm a business strategist, I'm not a real estate one. So, what are some of those things that you can do to really protect yourself? Because, my situation was I trusted the person that trusted the person, and it went sideways. So the amount of money that I've energetically released into the world in the last few years has been pretty high, pretty high. So how do I avoid those pitfalls?
I mean, some things it is unavoidable. Like sometimes it's a bad operator, sometimes it's fraud, sometimes it's just black swan events like we kind of had over the past few years that we just didn't see, like interest rates going up at the same time as insurance is impossible to get at the same time the occupancy drops and all the things, right? So sometimes it just sucks, right? And I know that's not a good answer for you because it's like, well, what can I do to take control of my situation?
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing to do though is really dig deep in who you trust and your diligence process. So we all have buy, if we're investing responsibly, we have a buy box, right, for our assets. You have a buy box for your businesses, you have a buy box for your real estate. We also need a buy box for with whom we invest. What does the communication need to look like? What does the team need to look like? What does the track record need to look like for me to be comfortable? And it's going to be different for me than it is for you because I might have a different risk tolerance, or I might like different asset classes, or I might have different goals, right? And so I think it's really, really important though for passive investors to have their own buy box and be intentional, which means as a passive investor, you need to know what your investing goals are. Right? Because, and a lot of times, this is why I love you guys, because you're educating people on what this looks like so that people can then power up, right? They can take their W-2 and turn it into a wealth building machine, but sometimes people don't even know what the heck that means.
Yeah.
Right? And so I think if you know your goals, like, okay, I'm getting a little bit older, I can't do as much risk right now. Or, hey, I'm just getting started. I want big returns over time. I've got time to wait, right? You know what your goals are, then you can pick your operators from there, right? And pick your assets from there. So I think you gotta first creating a buy box for your investments is one big thing to do, and really dialing in listen to your gut. Yeah. How many times have we just shut her up, right? Yeah. Because we're like, oh, that's not logic. That's not, you know. Listen to your gut. If it feels off, there are plenty other good deals and good operators to invest with.
Right.
Definitely.
It's the whole Warren Buffett thing.
But I think that's where I failed a little bit, was that I didn't do my own due diligence. I trusted the pro forma without going a little bit deeper. I didn't assess some of these other, aspects of what it was. And so I really consider these learning opportunities for me. And I'm just going to move forward, and I'm going to continue to do that. I also got caught in what they believe is going to be the largest Ponzi scheme in California. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the Lefevre Matson, Ken Matson situation. I've known these guys for 26 years, and I think you can even trust somebody for 10 years and they've done a great job for you, but you can never stop doing your due diligence as you move forward, because people get into life situations. So, Bethany, I think I'm going to continue the conversation with you right now because it looks like our girl Mandy has frozen up on us, and I'm not sure when she's going to be back. So one of the things that I would ask, for anyone listening, so what GoBundance Women really focuses on is helping you scale, whether that's your business or your investment portfolio, without sacrifice. And there are some rituals and recipes for successful people out there like yourself that have gotten you where you're going. So what would you say are some of those things that have really supported you on your business journey?
I wrote a whole book on it, and the book is called The Power of OPE.
I love it.
And I think the very, very biggest jump forward in my life and in my business and in my not getting burned out for the sake of getting more, right?
Yeah.
Is letting go.
Okay.
It's
Love
letting
it.
go and bringing in other people. But before you can do that, you can't just let go and just be like, and I've done this too, by the way. I've made the mistakes. And so I wrote a whole book on it so people can at least start from ahead of where I was,
What
right?
was OPE stand for again?
Other people's
Yep.
everything.
Other
So
people.
we're all leveraging OPM, other people's money, right? And I kind of did a deep dive into that, and I was like, that's not enough. It's not enough because just money isn't usually the answer. We think we want to make more money, and we do probably want to make more money, but that's not enough, right? And we don't want to sacrifice ourselves, like you said, without sacrificing yourself, right? So without the burnout, without the hustle culture, without all the garbage that goes along with getting more and more and more.
So wait,
Yeah.
you don't have to sacrifice your health and your relationships and everything else to be successful, Beth?
It's not sustainable if you do. I did it for years. That's what
Yeah.
this is, right? I did it for
Yeah.
years. And I'll tell you, I made a lot of money and I was miserable. I wasn't my best self. I wasn't my best mom. I wasn't my best business person. I got so much better at all the things when I asked for help. But in order to ask for help in a way that makes sense, you have to know exactly what your goals are, what your extraordinary life looks like, which is fun. When I first started doing this, my coach at the time was like, all right, we're going to like dream about what's your perfect life, what's your extraordinary life. And we did this whole vision board thing. And I was like, dude, I have a business run. I don't have time for this shit. I need to make more money. I need to do this. I need to do. And she was just like, just humor me for a minute. Right. And we looked at like, I got to vision, like, what's my extraordinary life look like? What part of this am I doing? And I call it my lane, right? What's my lane? My lane is three things. It is what I'm amazing at. Like no one does it as well as me, my lane. I also super love it. Lights me up. I'm excited to jump out of bed to do it every day. But also three, it moves the needle towards my extraordinary life because otherwise it's just a hobby. It's got to be all three. And then my goal in life and in business, my primary goal is to do as much of that as possible and as little of anything else as possible. And find other people to do all the other things.
Yeah.
All of them.
I think that's an extraordinary point. This idea of first you have to vision what this life looks like so that you can know what that North Star is that you're running after. So, let's talk to somebody who's kind of in it, that they haven't yet done that visioning process, but that's cool. That's Bethany. Bethany is special. She wrote a book. She's an attorney. She does all these big things. Tell me a little bit about what step one could look like or should look like to anybody that you're going to speak to that isn't yet in that visioning phase.
You have to trust yourself enough to take a breath and really do the visioning because it feels whimsical. It feels like a waste of time. It feels like I have things to do. I will do that when I. But the thing that I learned is there is no when I unless you do it. There's always going to be another goal. There's always going to be another thing to do. There's always going to be something that's going to take your attention. And you don't know if it's getting you closer to your goal because you didn't take that step of figuring out what it is. And so you'll be busy all the time. You can be. And it might be taking you down the road the wrong way because you haven't taken the time to figure out where you're going. So it feels soft. It feels whimsical. It feels too fun to be an entrepreneur. Like, why? This is fun. Why am I can't have fun. I'm struggling. I'm hustling. I'm an entrepreneur. No, I will tell you this. I think the only way to be successful is if you figure out a way to still hustle and work hard, but make that part not suck. It doesn't have to suck. I see these influencers out there saying, well, it's going to suck for a really long time before it doesn't.
Yeah.
Why?
Or you're not going to have any friends. I'm like, who literally would want to live that life?
At what point? Who tells me when it can stop sucking? Is it you? Yeah. Is it?
Right. It's just like hustle porn, like I do not subscribe to that at all.
It's so gross. It's gross.
Yeah, it is.
I see the people who do it and I don't, look, this is going to probably get me canceled. But the biggest offenders, and I love their content for the most part. I'm not even going to say who they are. I love their content. I think they have really great business models. I adore them. And they're out there telling you how hard it's going to be and how much it's going to suck and you have to sacrifice that. They don't have kids.
Yeah. Ooh.
And I'm not saying you have to have kids to get it. I'm saying it makes you get it immediately when you have kids. So you can get it before that, and you can actually have it not suck if you don't have kids. That's fine. But the people who don't have kids telling you that you got to grind it out and it sucks, you're going to show up for your kids. You just are. And so why
Yeah,
not figure out a way to not make it suck? It can, by the way. I'm
Yeah.
living proof that it can.
totally.
I love
Well,
that.
tell me a little bit about your the not making it suck, the living the life of your dreams. These resorts, these boutique hotels. I also am a boutique hotel owner, so this is one of the things that
Yeah.
we are kindred spirits on. You know, tell me a little bit about that life and brag a little on those.
We're under contract actually at a new one in Costa Rica. Super excited about it. But the whole thing is, we are investing in places that are giving us a return. But every time I go there, I make money. I am going to a vacation spot and I'm making money back. Every time our investors go, they're making money back, right? And it's not a timeshare. It's an investment. We're running it. They're not doing it. But I'm like, and it gets the best of both worlds because you get real estate and operating businesses. So you get the upside, the appreciation, but you also get the cash flow of operating businesses because we've got a spa, we've got restaurants, we've got all the different ways to add revenue. And I feel like you get to go enjoy it. Like, look, I'm passively invested in other asset classes in storage and in mobile home parks, but I'm not going to go hang out there. You know, I think this is so fun because you get to enjoy it and you get to make money on it. And I feel like that is what my extraordinary life looks like, is that I get to travel and I get to do these things that then pay me back.
Yeah.
Mm.
I
We got to
love that.
talk about a summit or a retreat for
Yeah.
GoBundance women offline here. So.
Is
Yeah.
this the one?
Yeah.
Are you the one that Karin was
Yes.
at your place and like
Yes.
I was getting
Yeah.
all these videos and I had so much FOMO.
Yes.
I almost hopped on a plane. Like,
Yes, I was
thanks.
there when she said it to me.
Thanks.
Hold
Yeah.
on, gotta send
I
this
love
to you.
that.
Well, now we're going to buy another one in Costa Rica. And then I just did this really fun thing. I just found out last night that it worked. Because I talk about attainable luxury, right? So luxury
Yeah.
without sacrificing your financial goals just for the sake of looking like you are rich, right?
Yeah.
I'm moving. And I'm moving to, I live in Southern California. And what I did, I rent in Southern California because I can go buy a hotel somewhere else for how much it costs to buy a home here.
Yeah.
So I rent here and then I buy hotels somewhere else. So I choose to do that. That's my financial plan. But what I did was I looked up a bunch of luxury properties that were sitting on the market. And in this market, that can happen. 4 years ago, they were like, you had to pay a year up front just to get anywhere. But now luxury homes are sitting. So I called a few, and you've got to figure out like, what's your budget? What is it that you want? Whatever. I sent a letter. Thank you, ChatGPT. I sent a letter to a few of them, and I said, listen, here's how much I'm going to pay you in rent. I notice your property's been sitting for a while. I'm going to pay this much in rent because that was what my personal budget is. But I host retreats, and I can manage photo shoots at your property. Not Airbnb, not VRBO. I'll always be present. And I will give you 100% of the revenue until you hit the asking rent that you're never going to get in this market, by the way. And then I will split with you 50-50, anything above that. So you actually have a chance to make more than the rent you're asking for if you're patient with me while I use your property for photo shoots, movie sets, retreats. So now I'm moving to this property where I can host retreats, and it is epic, you guys. And I'm paying less rent than I am now.
And that's in Costa Rica?
No. It's in Southern California, in your.
Oh, it's in Southern California. No, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I wish we had a lot longer to stay, but one of the things as we're getting ready to wrap up, one thing I can't help but notice is just your energy. You're so present, and I'm so grateful for that. It's something I've been working on for the last 20, plus years. What would you say that shift was? Was it going through some struggle? Because it is very rare that somebody can show up that embodied. And so there's got to be some secrets that you have to this.
Yes, there was some struggle that I had to overcome. And I think every interesting story had some struggle that you had to overcome. But more than that is my phone is blowing up right now. I don't need to look at it because I trust my team has it. My OPs, my other people, when I say other people's everything, I mean it. I'm in my lane. This is my lane. This is what I'm supposed to be doing right now, is talking to you ladies.
Yeah.
We have a deadline going on with the Costa Rica property. They've got it covered.
Love it.
So it'll be okay when I'm done here. I don't need to be checking my phone. I don't need to be making sure. And I was like that for the longest time. I'm like, oh God, I can't be out here talking to you. I got this and that. And I would have been, on my phone. they got it. My OPs have it. That's
I
why.
love it. That's great.
Mm.
All right, Mandy, take us home.
Oh, I really feel like, you're a big giver. You've given all this information and we love the opportunity to support givers like you. So, tell us, what is a resource or an introduction that helps take you to the next level so that we and our listeners can help support you?
Well, we are currently raising for the Rev Luxury Fund, so passive investors. But really, I want to bring people into our Conscious Capital Collective community so that we can continue to grow and support this message of you can create your wealth without burning out.
I love
So,
it.
Capital Collective.
Yeah.
We
And
say a
I
lot,
look
scale
forward to
without
you.
sacrifice.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, exactly.
Yeah, I look forward to you getting in the business space. So I'm currently raising capital for a couple health companies. I'm in femtech and medtech. So definitely that's exciting. So many great gifts and pieces of wisdom that you left. But I think the biggest one is just, being in proximity of other people that have that same value system and that level of integrity. And then just really being thoughtful about the way that you underwrite deals and trust that instinct too. So that was super powerful for me.
Oh, I love the trusting yourself piece. The trust yourself and then hire the right people and let the smart people do what they do, and then know that they've got it. Those were my favorite pieces. So, Bethany, thank you so much for joining us. For all of our listeners out there, if you liked this episode, if you know someone who needs to talk about OPE or someone who needs to raise capital the right way, make sure you're sharing this episode. Make sure you're subscribing to Power Up Your Life. And we will see you on the next episode next week. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.